13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
So we get our Monday started. Not really. What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of the Empire 161 Show, Season 4, Episode 5. We're kicking things off with Jungle by Fred again, which is Anthony Rizzo's walk-up music, if you're wondering. Definitely not a walk-up music, but hey, whatever. If you can have a week like he has, then roll with it. But thanks for joining us on this Monday afternoon. We appreciate the support as always. If you're joining us on your Facebook live stream, if you're joining us on YouTube or Twitter, appreciate the support over every found your only podcast. And with me as always is Lisa. Lisa, what's up?
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It is a beautiful Monday here in New York City. Happy day after Mother's Day for everybody that was celebrating, whether you are a mom or you celebrated with your mom or you were just thinking about your mom. I had a beautiful weekend with my family. Ed's got the one version of the Mother's Day hat. Is this what this is?
This is from the, this is when they had Derek Jeter Day on Mother's Day that one year. They had a doubleheader Derek Jeter Day one, and I was like, I was at that, so I was like, I have to get this hat. It has the
I like that patch. One a lot.
Yeah, I don't like this year's very much, honestly.
I was just gonna say what I didn't like was this year's hat. My sister-in-law, who is a Mets fan, hated it. Oh,
it was horrible.
Was upset. I mean, I thought it was in general like a hat to wear, okay, not to wear with anybody's uniform. It didn't match any team's uniform, so. But yeah, it was a beautiful weekend here in New York. So I hope people got out and enjoyed the weather because, you just never know when it's going to consistently stay the same way. It might snow tomorrow. Who knows? But yeah, Ed and I are excited to join you on this afternoon version. We had to be creative because the Yankees have like an 8 million day game streak. So we had to find a creative space and time to do it. So that's why we're here now at this interesting hour of the day. And we're really excited to talk to you about some things. And one of the things I believe we're talking about today was something that we got to go experience last week with our friend Joe. We got to see the Yogi Berra movie, It Ain't Over. And spoiler alert, Lisa cried. Lisa cried hard.
All right, good. You said it because I wasn't going to say it unless you said it.
It's fine. It's fine. I was crying. It was very, and I'll say why when we talk about it. But we also, Ed and I both also giggled a lot. There were a lot of really cute, fun moments in the movie as well. So we'll get into that later. But we are going to talk about the two recent series against the Athletics and the Rays. And it wasn't terrible, Ed. It wasn't terrible.
No, not at all, actually. Not at all.
This week is a little bit more palatable for us.
No, this was a much better week, actually. Yes. This was I'm pretty excited to talk about this week's week in Yankees baseball as well. But as always, during the broadcast, you can show support for our page by sending us some stars, which are a digital gift that helps us earn money for Pop Poster Pros, because that's what we're presented by. So come hang out, talk some baseball, and send a bunch of stars, man. It's part of the deal here now.
Exactly, and who doesn't like a gold star? Come on.
It's awesome. I mean, you can just start throwing stickers. No, that doesn't really work that way, but, or like stars like the blinking ones, like in Mario Brothers, But actually, let's start it off. Let's talk about the movie. We'll get it started with that. So as Lisa had mentioned, we did get to see It Ain't Over, which is the documentary about Yogi Berra and his life. That was released in theaters last week, and some of us didn't even realize it was coming out, honestly, because I just feel like there wasn't a ton of promotion until the week leading up to it, and that was it. Like that's when I kind of feel like the promotional push went in, and I get it. Like they're not expecting this to be some like Marvel Studios blockbuster or something like that. Like it's a documentary, and that's cool. But I just felt like they could have had a little bit more promotion out there for it. But nonetheless, we did get to see it Friday, which actually was Yogi's birthday.
It was. He would have been 98.
Yeah, no, which was it was awesome. So I'm really glad we got to see that. We got to check it out in the Lower East Side, in a Regal Essex Crossing over there. Beautiful theater.
Very nice theater. Very nice theater.
Yeah, if you're in New York, you should definitely go check that out because that theater was pretty darn nice. It was the first time I've been there, and definitely plan on going back there because it was really cool. So, but as far as the film goes, it was really well done. I really enjoyed it. Lisa mentioned that we had some laughs. There was some tear-jerking moments that are in there as well. Some real there's a lot of heart to it. But I love the fact of the beginning and end of it, where it comes from, because it feels like it comes from a place like with his granddaughter, who was probably the one that looked like she kind of like took the lead and the reins on this thing.
Yeah,
and Lindsay Berra, who also has a lot to do with her with the Yogi Berra Museum in New Jersey, which we've talked about going to check out finally because we haven't had a chance to check that out. So maybe perhaps this summer we'll go ahead and make that happen. This shirt is actually a baseballism shirt from the Yogi Berra Museum. You can order it online.
Nice.
So I love the fact that it comes from a place where it is showcasing Yogi as a player on the field, because and Lisa, we've talked about Yogi before, and I really just feel like this is something that I've felt strongly about for a while. I feel like he's highly underrated as a baseball player at this point in time because of his personality was so big that it took over and superseded him as an actual player. But when you look at him as a player, he was a monster. He was a excellent ball player, and I feel like that just gets overlooked a lot. But this movie, it really shines the light on that. Besides it showcases his whole life. It's not just his on the field, but the beginning and end of it very much drive home the fact that, listen, don't forget that Yogi was a great baseball player and one of the most successful runs in Yankee history. So, Lisa, what were your overall thoughts on the film?
So I don't know if you noticed during the movie, I was taking notes the entire movie because I didn't want to forget anything that stood out to me, and I ended up taking what amounts to like 3 pages of notes in my phone. But there were some things I knew. I knew that he was in the Navy. I knew that he served in World War II. There was one thing that I knew about him that they didn't mention, or it was like so quick you missed it, about him owning the bowling alley. I had read that. But the things I didn't know, I knew he was, like 10 rings. Didn't know he was the MVP 3 times. I did not know that. I knew he was a good player. But I didn't know some of the things that made him a really extraordinary player that it's really hard to teach or copy that. Which one of his quotes that I love was about something about if you can't imitate him, don't copy him, or something like that, or it might be the reverse of that. But one of the things that they said very early on was that his unconventional hitting style was because he had big hands and a quick bat swing. And he said, if you pay close attention, a pitcher gives you his tells, right? So maybe if he's throwing a fastball, he leans in towards the catcher a little bit more. Or just something about you can't always see the way he's holding the ball until it gets thrown, but something about his mannerism will give you a clue to the pitch that he's about to pitch.
He would pick up on pitch tipping quite a bit.
And he did that with batters too. He talked about he would analyze the batters. He would try to psych them out. He would talk to them about things while they were in the batter's box, which I love. So he was such a smart and calculated and attentive player. And I think that's the part of him that gets very underrated. And the fact that when he stopped playing and he, got into like a managing and coaching role, every team that he worked with seemed to improve drastically.
Yeah. No, he definitely did. And unfortunately, the one where he kind of got the short end of the stick is when he came back and managed the Yankees in the mid 80s, which, that was during George's heyday of, firing people left and right. So
on a whim, yeah. And I don't blame him. And I respect a grudge holder for that long. I'm a grudge holder. I'm Puerto Rican, it's part of my blood. So for him to hold a grudge for as long as he did with George Steinbrenner, I think was well deserved, first of all, because he was right. George should have at least done it in person. I can't believe he sent like an assistant to the assistant to fire him after only 16 games. That's ridiculous. Talk about morale killer on the team.
yeah.
I don't understand the rationale around that. And then for George, like I from what I understand, like Susan Waldman was the one that kind of was like for George to wait that long and be that proud, I don't know. That was far too long. And then when he came back, he was. I mean, he's been beloved since he first became a Yankee. And you cannot underestimate the boost to a team that somebody like him can provide just because of who you are as a human being, let alone one of the greatest Yankees ever.
Yeah, well, during George's, I'll say heyday during the 80s and stuff like that. Also, actually, the whole Yankee fans' relationship with George Steinbrenner is also very interesting because at this point in time, a lot of people, I mean, yes, he's passed away, and sometimes after someone passes, their time gets very romanticized, if we're being completely honest, over time. And the bad things kind of get glossed over. But if we're calling it how it was, George was extremely erratic, and he was the one who was extremely stubborn and would fire and was impatient. And he fired Yogi off a whim. And yeah, I kind of respect him saying, screw it, I'm not going back there. And while George is still the owner, and Susan Waldman is the one who goes ahead and kind of got the ball rolling and got them to apologize. And the apology happened like immediately at that point once they got in person. Because Yogi didn't want to do this thing, but he was like, a proud man also. I was like, screw it, I'm gonna. Both guys were standing their ground right there.
The difference is one of them did it with integrity.
I agreed.
The other did not.
No, agreed. But that's what I think it was. It became more of like a pissing contest in some ways at that point. As far as where George goes, like George was just like, screw it, I'm not giving in. Not really Yogi's, but from George's half, it became a pissing contest, and it was just like, all right, well, if Yogi doesn't want to come back here, then screw it. I'm not going to have him back here, and we're going to see who blinks first. And then thankfully it did get, fixed up and everything. And it is incredible that on Yogi Berra Day, when he did come back, that's when David Cohen in 1999 threw his perfect game. And it was like the first pitch with Don Larson. Like, you can't make that stuff up. Like, you couldn't. If put it this way, if people didn't witness that actually happen and that was submitted in a movie script, they would be like, no, we can't do that. No one's going to buy it.
So Joe Girardi, I think, like always, it was like easy to cry, right? Like very emotional, very in tune guy. But he started tearing up at one point when he was talking about that game, David Cohen's game, because he asked Yogi, "Would you bless my glove and use it when Don Larson throws out the first pitch to you?" And then that happened. Yeah. I also like that. I don't know who it was. I think it was like one of the writers from that said it, but they said Don Larson's always the one that's credited with the game, but Don Larson would have told you it was Yogi. Like, he never shook Yogi off. Every pitch Yogi called, he threw.
And that's what I think a lot of people. It's funny that you mention it, because it's true. During a lot of perfect games, no hitters and things like that, or even a successful start, the pitcher gets credit. Oh, this was David Wells' perfect game, David Cohen's perfect game, Doc Gooden's no hitter. The catcher has just as much to do with it as the pitcher does.
Absolutely.
They're the ones calling the game. So I think, it's more in tune baseball fans will say, like, hey, it was them together. And the pitcher's the first one that usually says it.
Yeah.
Like in the post game, like immediately, like, hey, listen, whatever Girardi wanted to throw down, I mean, I was there. Whatever Yogi wanted to put down, I would just follow his lead, and it's important. And Yogi as a catcher, it was tremendous. And the fact that he was able to put up the offensive numbers that he did while mostly playing catcher, because he did end up playing left field and stuff like that in various other positions later on when he needed to. But as a catcher, the fact that you can put up those numbers was insane.
Yes, there was. I can't remember what season it was, and I'm not going to go looking for it now. But there was one season where he had like 24 strikeouts. In a season.
Yeah.
Come on. And as a catcher, he had 148 consecutive games without an error. I mean, those types, and he caught 117 double headers in his career. Do you know how hard it is just to play catcher for 117 games, let alone 117 double headers?
And
as far as I know, he didn't have any of the health issues that a lot of other catchers have when they get older.
Well, Yogi would tell you that he was lower to the ground.
So he was short. Yeah. Oh my God, I love when he said that.
So Yogi's stat line, by the way, just to bring more awareness to this. So he had, for those with the advanced metrics, he had a WAR of 59.5 and 7,555 at bats. He had 2,150 hits, 358 home runs, a career average of 285, 1,175 runs scored, 1,430 RBIs, 30 stolen bases with an on-base percentage of 348, slugging percentage of 482, and an OPS of 830. And again, for more advanced metrics, an OPS plus of 125. So you had mentioned 3-time MVP, Hall of Famer, 10-time World Series champion, 18-time All-Star. So, I mean, the resume speaks for itself. And he definitely should have been, or they should have expanded that greatest living ball player thing that kind of got the ball rolling to 5. And Yogi should have been right there with, Johnny Bench and Sandy Koufax and Willie Mays. So it really, really needed to be there. So I'm extremely happy that this has been brought to the forefront and gotten back out there, because I mean, he's highly underappreciated. I actually kind of felt in some ways that Lou Gehrig kind of gets some of that as well, because it's like, oh, you played with Babe Ruth, and it's like, you were kind of like the two guy. When you look at Lou Gehrig's stats, his are pretty outstanding, obviously, as well. Mm-hmm. One of the greatest ball players to ever live, but so is Yogi Berra. So
yeah, absolutely. So the part that made me cry, which Ed knows, was when they were talking about his relationship with his wife Carmen and their family, and most specifically, I knew he died. I knew he died several years ago, so that wasn't no spoiler there. But when they talked about kind of his last, his last months, and his wife died before him, and all of his kids swore that he was the one that was going to go first. The things that he said to her on her last day, like it was like perfectly like a Yogi thing to say, and he made her laugh, and she went peacefully that evening, it sounds like. And then he passed as well, but it sounds like, had such a beautiful marriage. I'm sure there were obviously ups and downs, which is in any relationship, but like they had a marriage of respect, love, and fun, it seems. 3 sons and I think 11 grandkids, if I'm not mistaken. And I mean, clearly one of his granddaughters is the one who, like fought for this documentary. She fought for him to get the Presidential Medal of Honor, which he finally ended up getting post-mortem. I think that says a lot about who he is as a human being as well. Very loved and adored by his family, loved and adored by the nation. I love what he said. I'm trying to quickly find it, about his yogi-isms. Oh, the one thing I did not know was that he has 8 quotes in like this book of quotes of famous people, which is the most by an American, which I thought was really cute. But I think a mental health professional that was briefly on it said Yogi is the definition of complexity, which is taking something complex and making it sound simple. And Derek Jeter said something about it as well. Derek Jeter said, like Yogi would tell you, if it looks good, swing at it. And it always looked good to me. So I don't know what to tell you. For him, he had a better view. Think about it. Think about Yogi Berra compared to Aaron Judge and the view that both of them get, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Yogi Berra's view is much shorter and closer to the strike zone. So basically everything in his view is hittable. And that to me makes a lot of sense. And then what I love one of his quotes that he said, you can't think and hit the ball. He said, I can't think and hit the ball at the same time. I don't know. If you think about that, yeah.
It's true. It's absolutely true because like if you're thinking about when you go to hit, if you're thinking about your mechanics and you're thinking about 6,000 different things, it's kind of what he's saying. Just simplify it. See the ball, hit the ball, and that's it. And it's true. You can work on a bunch of stuff before, but you can't do that while you're hitting. I mean, or you just need to narrow it down to one thing and that's it. So they all do make sense. When you really think about it, it's just simplifying it. And I do love the fact in the documentary where they'll have
Confucius or
and all this other stuff, and they'll have the Yogi version of it underneath, and it's it is the same thing.
Same thing, just a lot easier to understand that way.
Absolutely. So that was another thing I loved that they did here. And you're right, learning more about his personal life was really interesting. And he even said too, like you had mentioned, he was in Battle of Normandy, where it was just hey, baseball's not hard. War, that's hard. Baseball's not hard. Baseball's fun.
Yeah.
So it's true though, but that puts it into perspective.
It does. And I want to say this too. I think the mindset that he had is the reason why he lived such a long life too. I think it seems like, obviously we don't know everything, but it seems like he didn't really stress out over things.
No.
And I feel like when you live that way, and I'll be the first to admit it's hard to live that way. I'm not saying I do. But when you live that way, when you don't get stressed out about every little thing, especially things that we don't have control over, you're probably going to live a lot longer. Whether you smoke, drink, eat really bad food, you'll probably live longer just because you're not sweating all the small stuff. And I feel like that's kind of him personified. He didn't sweat the small stuff at all. And he found something nice or fun to say about everything.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess with closing this part is just, if you're a Yankees fan, if you're a baseball fan in general, you should definitely go ahead and I would highly recommend this. Go check it out. Catch it in the theater. I always will advocate, see it in the theater. It's I don't know. I just, as also a movie lover, I just feel like the theatrical experience does add more to it. So check it out while it's in its theatrical run. If you can, for whatever reason, I'm sure it'll probably be on Amazon Prime and everything else,
or eventually on the
yeah, or wherever it is, because I think it's Sony Pictures, and they don't really have their own streamer. So my guess is Amazon Prime will probably have it, at some point, probably in another month or two or something like that. But
it was definitely worth it. So worth it. It was so much more than just baseball. And for a certain Met fan out there that likes to tune into our show, they talk about the Mets too.
Yes, because they tell Yogi's whole story. So,
Correct.
The Mets are a part of it. The Mets are a part of his story as well. So, yeah, highly recommend. 2 thumbs up.
I was just going to say, how many stars? How many stars, Ed?
There you go. For documentary wise, I would say 4.5 stars. It's a really good documentary. Again, not a movie. There's no actors in it, or no one's playing Yogi Berra. Documentary. So, check that out. From you, same thing. 2 thumbs up or whatever it is.
2 thumbs up. 3 snaps up in a C formation for all of you Living Color fans. Yeah, 4.5 stars too. I agree. I thought it was very heartwarming and charming, and it left me feeling very happy, even though I was crying in the end, and both you and Joe had to check in on me.
Yeah, I noticed it. I picked up on it.
Yeah, but it was a happy cry. It was a very happy cry because I felt so connected, and I can't wait to go to the museum.
Yeah.
And check out all the other things that they have there. So, and the other fun fact, one of his nieces runs a bed and breakfast in his childhood home.
Yes,
That
that's
was
right.
pretty cool too.
That's right. When I was in one of the times I went to Baltimore, they have it's not a bed and breakfast, but they have Babe Ruth's childhood home as a museum because he grew up in Baltimore, and
Yeah.
it's in walking distance from Camden Yards. So
Yeah.
another one to check out with that. But yeah, I would like to go ahead and check all of that stuff out next time. Next time I'm in Missouri, which
Yeah.
does happen. I
It does
maybe go ahead
happen for
and check out.
you. It does
It
happen
does
for
happen
you.
for me. It does happen for me. So I have to make that a stop there. All right. So that takes us to the current Yankees, and we will go back to the series against the A's, which was last Monday night, where the Yanks went ahead and took care of business against the A's by a final 7-2. A trend, and I guess something we'll discuss a little bit more after yesterday. Well, this weekend's game. Nestor Cortez took a no decision, going 5 innings, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, and 4 Ks. So not the worst stat line, but not exactly the best either, considering it was. But Ron Marinaccio did come out of the bullpen to pick up his second win of the season, pushing his record to 2-1. DJ LeMahieu hit his 4th home run of the season with 2 RBIs. Gleyber Torres 2 for 4 with his 5th home run of the season. Oswaldo Cabrera hit his 2nd home run of the season, driving in 2. And if we're going to bash him, we're going to highlight him when it's warranted. Aaron Hicks was 1 for 3 with his 1st home run of the season, driving in 2. So the Yanks did get things started on the right foot against Oakland.
Yes, and their 4 home runs in one game was the first time they did so since last September, where they hit 5 against the Milwaukee Brewers.
So Bronx Bombers starting to get the name back a little bit, starting to.
Haven't heard it in a while. It's usually just
bash the ball.
Bomber.
Yeah. We had a guy who hit a solo shot tonight. That was pretty much it. But the Yanks would go ahead and keep things rolling against Oakland last Tuesday night, as they took care of business by a final of 10-5. Clark Schmidt did have his best start of the season, picking up his first win, pushing his record to 1-3. He went 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, and 7 strikeouts. Gleyber Torres bashed another home run, 2 for 5 on the night. Sixth home run of the season, driving in 3 with 2 runs scored. Jake Bauers 1 for 2 with his 2nd home run of the season, driving in 3 with a walk. And this was the night Aaron Judge did return to the lineup. Didn't get a hit, but still drove in 2 runs. Harrison Bader continued to swing in a hot bat. He was 3 for 4 with an RBI and a run scored. So, I did put Judge in the bottom line twice. So that was a typo on my part, but you get the point. There wasn't 2 guys named Judge who got 2 RBIs with a run scored.
You just wanted to say it twice because it was his first game back.
It was very exciting. It was a very exciting night, in the Bronx.
So I will say this because we do always give little facts about the other team as well. Jordan Diaz had 3 home runs against us in this game, which was not so fun, but good for him. He's the 3rd rookie in A's history with a 3 home run game, joining Mickey Cochran in 1925, and I'm sure you can guess the other one.
Mark McGwire?
Yep, 1987.
Nice. Rick was a big Mark McGwire guy.
Yes.
All right, and the Yanks did complete the sweep last Wednesday afternoon by a final of 11-3. So definitely picking up the wins where you can get them against Oakland, because if they're running out like a AA lineup, that's something you have to do. But wins are wins. Good teams do beat up on the bad ones. Johnny Brito took a no decision, only lasting 4 in the 3rd, giving up 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, and 3 strikeouts. Jimmy Cordero picked up his 2nd win of the season out of the bullpen. More on him later.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry. Well, no, actually, Garcia. Well, damn it.
Davey Garcia.
Yes, Davey Garcia. His first name was fucking blank to me. Picked up the save in relief, going 3 innings, 2 hits, 1 earned run, a walk, and 2 strikeouts. So they are transitioning. No, it was, and they are transitioning him to a reliever, similar to what we saw with Dylan Betances a couple of years ago, a lot of years ago now. So we'll see how that works out. I know time's flying. Harrison Bader, though, did hit his 3rd home run of the season, 3 RBIs, which was a wall scraper that did look like It was caught, or there was going to be fan interference. I'm going to be honest. On the replay, I thought they were going to call fan interference on that. Personally,
So I watched the slow mo,
mm-hmm.
and this is what I saw: two fans with their one right on top of the other, which is like the baseball equivalent of when you're on The Price is Right and somebody else says $1. Very annoying that guy caught the ball, and then the Oakland A's guy was a little bit too, if you're watching the screen, to the left. I honestly don't think he was going to catch it. I think he was going to be a little bit to the left of it. Could he have, though? Yes. But I do think he was slightly off from it, so I think it was still going to go over the wall. I watched every replay they had. That's what I saw from it.
No, I honestly I thought they were going to call fan interference, but yeah, they did slow-mo to replay it, flip it around, all the other things to it, and eventually not the case. So, I mean, that one did stand. DJ LeMahieu hit his 5th home run of the season, driving in 2. Anthony Volpe hit his first grand slam, and the first grand slam for the Yankees this season, which was his 4th home run of the year. So he had 4 RBIs. Anthony Rizzo was 2 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs scored.
And Anthony Volpe's grand slam, which went 419 feet and 107.4 miles per hour off the bat, made him the youngest Yankee at 22 years and 12 days old to hit a grand slam at the stadium. So not only was it his first, but he was the youngest to do it. He's got another first ever coming up in the next set of games as well.
And for those who want to continue or very, very early on making the Derek Jeter, Anthony Volpe comparisons, Anthony Volpe has now also tied Derek Jeter with career grand slams because, yes, Derek Jeter had 1 career grand slam, which is so bizarre. Such a weird thing. And I do remember exactly when it came. It was a Saturday afternoon against the Cubs in a blowout. And I was like, wow, he's finally done it. So, you could go ahead and run with that if you'd like.
So he has a chance to be a better hitting shortstop than Derek Jeter, is what you're saying?
So you're telling me there's a chance? Yeah. For those who want to make those comparisons, just go ahead. You can run with that.
He's got several years to catch up. Okay, folks? Grand Slam is not the be-all, end-all. He's got a lot of years to catch up to Derek Jeter.
Now, if anything, I think the Derek Jeter 1 grand slam is a very quirky stat that I think would jump off the page at a lot of people because it just seems like he always was up with runners in scoring position and stuff like that. You would assume it would have happened otherwise, but there was.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious at the end of his career, which I hope is very long, how many runs batted in he's got.
Yeah.
Because Derek Jeter always seemed to get people in, whether it was a sac fly, not fielder's choice, sac fly, or he got a legit hit. Like Derek Jeter always knew how to place the ball.
Yeah, situational hitting was key there.
Yeah.
All right, so that goes ahead, and the Yankees welcomed in the Rays last Thursday night, which they took a beating in this one, which wasn't the case early on. The Rays went ahead and blew this one open, and we'll get to that move in a second. But Domingo Germán suffered his 3rd loss of the season, 5 2/3, 3 hits, only 1 earned run, 3 walks, and 3 Ks. Gleyber Torres drove in the only 2 runs of the game, which were in the 9th when the game was pretty much at hand. Jake Bauers was 2 for 4 with 2 hits on the night. But Aaron Boone, again, going to pull Domingo Germán. The Yankees down 1-0, going to Ron Marinaccio, which Marinaccio has been really good this season. But again, this is a thing that just keeps happening when Boone can't stop pulling Domingo Germán, early in games. And it just seems
late in games
or late in games.
3rd innings.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not mad at the choice of going to Ron Marinaccio in general because Marinaccio has been good. It's not like he went to Albert Abreu, which we'll talk about shortly.
Clay Holmes.
Clay Holmes in that situation. But I think in that situation, you got to let Germán roll a little bit. I mean, the guy gave up 1 run. His pitch count was in good shape still, and he just can't wait to get this dude out of the game. And I understand 3rd time through the order in today's game, everyone wants to go to the bullpen, but I personally would have let Herman rock a little longer and then see what happens. And the Rays just blew the gates open, right.
And again, we were at that game.
Yep.
And all I remember from when Domingo Herman was coming out was him cheering with the crowd and being like, "Yes, I'm leaving them in good hands. Yes." Like he was happy with the work that he did. They were only down the one. It should not have gotten to the point that it was afterwards. And Ron Marinaccio lasted for 1/3 of an inning. Come on.
Yeah.
If you're gonna bring a guy in, you have to be confident that he can at least finish the inning. I remember one guy yelling in our area, like, "Hey, boo! Next time, start the inning with him," because now he had to face 3 batters no matter what.
Yeah, it was a little strange. I don't know. I just think he's got the quick trigger finger to get to the bullpen a little too much. So
yeah.
The highlight of the night, though, for us at least, was you did get to experience the 99 burger because you got there when the gates opened. Thought your review of the 99 burger?
Oh my gosh, folks! Let me just tell you something. I'm the kind of person that doesn't go to a Yankee game for a burger, right? So I almost never get a burger at the stadium. But Ed was talking about this one, and I was like, you know what? Let's try it. Let's get there early. And Ed and I were very excited because his first experience getting it with Angie was he was like the 99th person to get it or high up there. We were number 1 and 2 to get it this time around. It was so freaking good. I will say you told me about the 2 lines. We saw people getting on the wrong line. Very confusing. They do need to make a sign. Let's go stadium. Just make a sign, 1 for order, 1 for pickup, because it doesn't make sense. The staff that worked on the kiosk were very nice. I like them.
Yeah, they're cool.
They were very nice. But that burger, y'all, and another thing I never eat is a double patty burger. I finished that whole thing, and then I had a shake later in the game. I definitely needed to eat salad for like 3 days after. But it was so good. The caramelized onions, whatever the secret sauce is, how do you say it? Wagyu
burger. Yeah.
Wagyu meat. Oh my gosh. It was so good. Fantastic. Well worth it. So glad we got there early to get it.
So there you go. Another tip, if you're going to try the 99 burger this year at the stadium, try to get there early and try to get there when the gates open and head straight to the 200 section right behind them, just off the home plate, and get there as early as possible. And remember, there are 2 different lines. There are the order line, which is the one on the right, and then there's the pickup line on the left.
Mm-hmm.
Don't make the mistake. Don't be there. Don't miss half the game waiting for the damn 99 burger. Just get there early and you'll be good to go. And there's a little seating area right over there, which you can chill and hang out there. And
it is very nice. And if you can't get the 99 burger, get the mac and cheese, because the guy that worked that kiosk also looked really nice. And my nephew didn't want mac and cheese on Saturday, so we didn't get it. Actually, I didn't even eat at the stadium at all on Saturday. I just brought a snack.
Wow.
But I will be going to that mac and cheese kiosk because that looked very delicious as well.
Well, we got a game next week.
There we go. I'm getting mac and cheese.
Yeah, I might have to do that because they have the Mexican street corn style mac and cheese, which last time I had buffalo chicken.
Both of us are huge fans of that.
Oh my God, it's fantastic. Love Mexican street corn.
Real quick, not highlight for us. No. Highlight for people whose names might be Rick, because we're still waiting for an answer. But at that game where Domingo Herman lost it, the Rays were the first major league team to reach 30 wins for the second time in franchise history. The first time they did that was in 2010. Congratulations, Rays, TJ.
Well, the Yanks would go ahead, and the Empire would strike back the next night.
Yes.
On Mandalorian bobblehead night, and this dude would have himself quite the game. Star Wars night's always. Star Wars night is always honestly a blast. I personally, as a Star Wars fan, I do really enjoy Star Wars night at the stadium every year. It's good to see that they do have that. So, though Garrett Cole took a no decision, not his best start, but not terrible either. Better than his last start against the Rays in Tampa last Sunday. But he went 5 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, and I think it was 6 strikeouts, which looks like there's another typo here. Get it together, Ed. Clay Holmes picked up the win out of the bullpen. Wandy Peralta did pick up his first save of the season, with striking out 2. Anthony Rizzo, though, 2 for 4, 2 home runs that gave him 8 on the season, 3 RBIs. Anthony Volpe was 2 for 3 on the night with his 5th home run and 2 RBIs on his own. The Yanks did go ahead and they battled back because they were down early. This was a seesaw battle that was pretty exciting, but Rizzo did knock that 2-run homer in the 8th inning to go ahead and give the Yanks the lead for good. So, it's one thing I'll say is that the Yanks have been fighting back a lot. It seemed like it started with the Rays series when previous games they kind of just seemed like they would fall behind and just kind of roll over. But now getting guys back in the lineup, getting Judge back, getting Bader back, other guys starting to pick it up. So, good to see that.
Yeah.
Anything else on Friday night's game?
Yes. Rizzo, fun fact about Anthony Rizzo after that game, he has hit 7 of his 8 home runs this year and driven in 15 out of 20 of the runs he's gotten this year at Yankee Stadium. So clearly having a home game means Anthony Rizzo is likely going to do something.
He's having himself a hell of a season so far. So,
and I attribute it to the shift. To the non-shift, I should say, the non-shift.
No, he was one of the hitters in all of baseball that people were talking about, like eliminating the shift was going to drastically help, and it certainly has. So, then it takes us to Saturday's game, which was another wild one where the Yankees went ahead and battled back against the Tampa Bay Rays, taking this one 9-8. Nestor Cortez, another no decision, 4 1/3, 7 hits, 6 earned runs, 2 walks, and 3 Ks. Jimmy Cordero picked up his 3rd win of the season out of the bullpen. Wandy Peralta picked up his 2nd save in as many days. Aaron Judge, though, was 2 for 4 with 2 home runs, 2 2-run homers on the day, giving him 8 home runs on the season, 4 RBIs on the day, and a walk. And Kyle Higashioka is the one who really kind of got things started.
Yeah,
with his 3rd home run of the season, another 2-run homer, so a lot of 2-run homers for the Yanks on the day. And Oswaldo Cabrera actually knocked in a go-ahead run, going 1 for 2 with 2 RBIs on the day. Another one where the Yanks were down early, fast again. Nestor Cortez, though, numbers aren't looking too great, this season.
No, and I hope that balances out soon, because that's my boy. I was really excited. I was at the game with my nephew. It was his first game of the season, and I got to take him after coming home from college. And I gotta say, I was tired. It was hot. I had been out late the night before watching the Knicks game and other stuff, but it was hot. And there was a point when my nephew went to go get something to eat, and I nodded off on my chair because the Yankees were down. And then Aaron Judge hit his first Higgy hit the home run first, and I woke up and I was like, oh, hey! And then Aaron Judge went ahead and hit his first of the 2 home runs. The 5th inning was very exciting, but the 6th inning, Anthony Volpe stole 2nd base, stole 3rd base, and then he scored on a throwing error. Oh my God. And he became the first Yankee. This is where I was telling you that he got another first. The first Yankee to steal 13 career bases without being caught.
Yeah, he's a huge weapon, and he really diversifies this offense when he's able to get on, because he's pretty much running at will. Yeah. So, and also he was dropped down to 7th in the order over this series, which I think was not that he was terrible at leadoff, but I think letting the kid get a chance to continue batting at the bottom of the order right now, probably the way to go. Taking a little pressure off at a leadoff spot. He'll be back up there. I still think that's where he slots in permanently once he gets his feet wet more, in the majors.
I think they moved him there a little too early, considering he just started in the majors. I thought it was interesting that they put Jake Bauers into leadoff. I think it was yesterday. Mm-hmm. That was his first time ever leading off in a game ever.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get to Sunday's game then, which the Yankees did drop by a final of 8-7. Another game where they dropped behind, they came back, then they took a lead, then they fell behind again, and another interesting pitching decision by Aaron Boone in this game. But Clark Schmidt took his fourth loss of the season, only lasting 4 2/3. 6 hits, 7 earned runs, 3 walks, and 5 Ks. Cabrera, though, 3 for 4 with his third home run of the season, driving into a 2-run score. Anthony Volpe was 2 for 4 with his 6th home run of the season, driving into. Anthony Rizzo hit his 9th home run of the season, also driving into. And Aaron Judge added an RBI single of his own. Also, Aaron Judge, though, came up with 2 outs, down 1, bottom of the 9th, left center field warning track. Off the bat, I can't say that I didn't think he got it. Apparently, Jason Adam thought he definitely got it because he threw his head down immediately and thought the game was tied. And it was he just missed it. He just got under it. But with Aaron Judge's strength, I mean, I think he can just drive it out. He's going to get more of that than most hitters are going to. So, sucks. But, again, my takeaway of this is Yanks are just fighting back, especially against the Rays, who got off to such a tremendous start. So it is encouraging to see the Yankees taking it to them. And what was it? It was pretty much every game has been decided by 1 run this season.
So outside of Thursday's my last fun fact.
Go ahead. 6
out of 7 games that they've played this season have been decided by 1 run.
Yeah. So when they go head to head, I mean, the Yanks just got to go ahead and take care of business, like we'll get into in a minute. Against the Blue Jays, the AL East it's the best division in baseball.
Yeah,
it is. No excuses though. Yanks still got to find their way there, But I think the Red Sox will come back down to earth a little bit. I think they're playing a bit above their heads. The Orioles, I think, are for real though. The Orioles have been coming. They were coming on last season, so can't say that. Jays also a team that seems like. They have a young nucleus, a really good offense, but the pitching really hasn't caught up with them. But what I was kind of puzzled about is Aaron Boone going to Albert Abreu in a tight game with the bases loaded against Taylor Walls. Seemed like a very strange decision right there. And Walls hits the grand slam.
Walls hits the grand slam, but at least Albert Abreu went 2 1/3 innings. And his line looks a lot better than Clark Schmidt's.
Well, I think that was the issue and I did save this because Katie Sharp, credit to her on this. So she tweeted this out yesterday. Albert Abreu has now allowed 11 of 16 inherited runners to score because remember that doesn't get charged to his ERA. So that's why I think his numbers look a lot better than what it is. That's 69% of runners scoring, inherited runners over the last 2 seasons. Okay. The major league average is 33%. He's allowing 69%. So that's where, how they say like numbers don't lie. This is a situation where numbers can lie because you're right. You look at Albert Abreu's his numbers on the season. Oh, he's been pretty effective, He goes to 4 straight changeups against Taylor Walls.
Yeah.
When his best pitch is his fastball. You can't. You're waiting for you're dying for it to happen. And Kay had mentioned this on a broadcast, and it's true. If you're going to keep going to it, each changeup needs to be better than the last.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go and hang a changeup, it's basically a BP fastball. And Walls treated it as such by knocking it out right there. I don't know. As he should. So I just don't like the move of going to Albert Abreu. And I get the Yankees bullpen was taxed yesterday, but we could have had better. I mean, that's what I'm saying. You could have done better. So I've never been an Albert Abreu fan. So I think, yes, I see what they see in him, high 90s fastball and everything, but it's not there. It's just he's a low leverage mop-up guy, in my opinion. It's just what it is. So, but them knowing Cashman and Boone, they'll point to the stats on the season, but that's a number that for such an analytically driven team, I'm sure they have that number about the inherited runner scoring. So, all right, whatever. So that goes on. It just really pissed me off. I just was like, it's such a great game that it just didn't need that. It didn't need to come down to that.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, that moves us on to the Yanks. Got another big series starting off in Toronto, beginning tonight. And let's go ahead and get that thing. All right. So, Lisa, what do we got as the pitching probables coming up?
Okay, so as of 5 seconds before this podcast went live, we still don't have a couple of names on here. So my apologies on the to be determined on the Blue Jays part because the Yankees posted their guys. Although they posted today's starting pitcher 5 seconds before this podcast. So Alek Manoah of the Blue Jays will be starting off tonight. He's a right-hand pitcher, 1-3 record, 4.83 ERA, and 32 strikeouts. He is going to this is interesting. Play against Jimmy Cordero is going to start the game for us. Ed thinks he'll go probably 2 innings. Let's see what he does. Hopefully he can get us at least 2 innings.
Bullpen game.
What's that again?
Bullpen game tonight for the Yanks.
Yeah, so Jimmy Cordero is a right-hand pitcher, 3-1 record, 2.81 ERA, and 17 strikeouts on the season. You know what? He looks good though.
in his size medium jersey.
In his medium jersey, it looks good on him. So I wouldn't mind watching him start the game. I forgot to say something. I gotta rewind for a minute. Nestor Cortez's cleats. I texted them.
Marvel does not approve. Apparently,
Marvel doesn't like the green cleats.
No, she's not. She doesn't. She's usually more of a traditional colored cleat person.
I wanted to say that because Nestor Cortez, who knew he owned a racehorse? I didn't. I learned it when I saw Souls by Sir posting his cleats. Those cleats were in honor of his racehorse who was running in a derby. I can't remember what it was. Anyway, Tuesday night, tomorrow night's game, Kevin Gausman is pitching for the Blue Jays. He's a right-hand pitcher, 2-3 record, 3.38 ERA, and 67 strikeouts on the season. He will be playing against Domingo Germán, right-hand pitcher, 2-3 record, 4.0 ERA, and 47 strikeouts. Hopefully, whenever Domingo leaves the game, somebody else doesn't blow it up for him.
And don't have the quick hook.
Maybe give him like 1 or 2 extra guys just in case. All right, Aaron Boone, thank you.
Do not be Captain Hook.
On Wednesday the 17th, we don't know who's pitching with the Blue Jays, but we do know that whoever they are, they will be playing against Garrett Cole, right-hand pitcher, 5-0 record, 2.22 ERA, and 62 strikeouts on the season so far. He's our ace. So we'll see what happens there. We'll see who they put there. And on Thursday, in the 4th game of the series, we also don't know who the Blue Jays are going to be pitching yet, but they'll be playing against Nestor Cortez. So stay tuned for the update about his cleats that night. He's a left-hand pitcher with a 3-2 record, 5.53 ERA, and 42 strikeouts on the season for Nestor.
All right, so things to look out for. It sounds like the first 2 games, assuming we're going to see a lot of Jake Bauers against 2 righties going for the Blue Jays. Probably see some Willie Calhoun as well. Mm-hmm. Is going to be my guess there.
Oswaldo Cabrera on the left-hand side.
Yeah, Oswaldo, who's also picking it up.
Yes.
He is starting to get it going here. So hopefully Boone will keep on riding the hot bat right there as well, even though I know analytics don't believe in hot or cold. Common sense needs to prevail and say just let the kid keep going. Mm-hmm. And then TBD, you never know who you want to go ahead and throw up there against TBD. So TBD is very tricky, as we've learned over the years. All right, so that brings us to our awards of the week. We will get things started with the top of the heap hitter of the week. I will kick things off with that one.
I knew you were gonna.
You knew that? Because we didn't talk about it.
I'm pretty sure I know who you're picking.
Yeah, come on. I'm going with Anthony Rizzo here. I mean, that was a given exactly. Last 7 games, he's hitting .444 with a .500 on base percentage, .815 slugging, 3 home runs, 7 RBIs, 3 walks, only 5 Ks, and 12 hits over that span and 10 runs scored. The monster night on Friday night, against the Rays and that comeback win. So he's been tremendous this season, though. He really has. So hopefully keep that going. And he can also lead the way against the 2 righties, coming up over the next 2 nights against the Blue Jays. Lisa, who's your hitter of the week?
Same as you.
Anthony Rizzo.
Yep.
This is the way.
The Mandalorian.
Or, as it is for Star Wars Day a couple of weeks ago, this is the May.
This is the May.
This is the May, yes. Because they're, you get it. It's May 4th. May the 4th be with you.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So that also goes to the King of the Hill pitcher of the week. This one should be interesting. Lisa, who are you going with this week?
So, Ed, I have stepped out of my comfort zone and picked a reliever. And I might be the same person as you because you're making that face.
Go ahead.
Or are you happy that I did that?
No, I'm actually happy you did that. I'm glad you went with a reliever. So now I'm curious. I mean, I also went with a reliever as well. So go for it.
Okay. Well, our reliever is our starting pitcher tonight. That's who I picked. I picked Jimmy Cordero.
Jimmy.
Yep, Jimmy. So over the course of the last 7 days, he has a 0 ERA. He pitched 3 1/3 innings, 2 hits, 0 runs, 0 walks, 3 strikeouts, a .60 WHIP, and a .167 batting average against him. So hopefully starting this game, he can continue to kind of show a lot of strength and keep the Yankees floating. As Ed said, it's going to be a bullpen game for us today. So we'll see what happens. I mean, there's some big hitters on the Blue Jays. We'll see where that leads us with his start. Who did you pick?
All right. So not the same. I went with Wandy Peralta. Picking up his first 2 saves of the season.
Yeah.
It's something interesting, though, is that we talked about last week is the pecking order in the Yankee bullpen. It has definitely changed over the course of the week. Clay Holmes is not the guaranteed closer anymore. It definitely seems like a closer by committee, which is what we talked about last week.
Mm-hmm.
We personally like to see, and that's what's happened. He's going on matchups and let's see who was going to take the reins of being a closer, and it lined up where Wandy was the guy. And we had mentioned Wandy. Wandy has the makeup for it.
Yeah.
The mindset. I just don't know if he necessarily has the wipeout stuff to be a closer, but screw it. If he's the guy who has, the makeup to do it, and you got to have pretty much ice water in your veins to be a closer. It's really kind of what it is. Nothing can phase you. And we're still talking about the guy who was punching himself in the jaw a little bit, was it last season before that. So I'd say he's definitely got it. He's definitely hyped up to do it. So good to see Boone adapting after enough people screaming about Clay Holmes. So just continue to see that. So my pitcher of the week is Wandy.
All right. Before we end things and you tell everybody all the ways that they can join us in the Empire 161 show and just Pop Culture Pros, I want to say that my niece gave me quite possibly the best Mother's Day gift in the world. So I'm not a mom biologically, but I am an aunt and a godmother and very invested in the lives of all the kids in my life. So my niece, who looks like me, everybody thinks she's my kid, is super dope, always has been, and this makes her even doper.
I think I know what it is.
You know what it is, right? Oh, you saw. Woo. If you haven't seen on our Instagram page, my niece got me Giancarlo Stanton socks for Mother's Day. And she said, and I quote, "Didi, I saw them and I had to get them for you. And I knew you were going to love them." And she was right. I love them. I'm going to have Giancarlo Stanton's face on my feet. And that's the closest I'll ever get to him without a restraining order.
All right, so are you going to go with these Stanton socks for our game next week?
No, it's probably going to be too hot for that. Like maybe in September I'll wear them.
Are they like crew socks or like baseball socks?
No, they're like, crew. Yes, they're crew socks. They're not anklets or anything like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they're like the ones that you pull up. And after a certain time of the year, I'm all about open-toed and
I'm all wearing slides as much as humanly possible. So
yeah, so you probably maybe I'll wear them for our next podcast and show you all. Okay. But I mean, you can't get me a better outside of getting me him. You can't get me a better gift than that.
Nice. Yeah, I saw that earlier on Facebook, and I was like, "That's awesome. That's awesome." All right. Well, that pretty much wraps it up for us this week. Thanks for joining us as always. If you joined us on Facebook, be sure to check out the Empire 161 show group where we show highlights and lineups and a bunch of other stuff that don't make the show. So you can go ahead and check it out and join us on that. Also check out Pop Culture Bros, because that's who we're presented by, popculturebros.com. If you're checking us on YouTube, subscribe to Pop Culture Bros. And on Twitter, you can follow at Pop Culture Pros, but you can also follow at Empire 161 Show. And if you're on Instagram, you can follow at the_Empire_161_show and check us out on Instagram. So a lot of cool stuff going on there as well. A lot of fun facts and everything else. So yeah, we'll be back next week as well. We'll be talking about the week that was in Yankees baseball. We will be posting exactly when that will be, most likely back in our usual time slot. Should be a good week, though. Big series coming up against the Blue Jays, and then the Yanks go to Cincinnati next weekend. Next Sunday, the Peacock game, 11:35 start. Yes. Breakfast with the Bombers.
Or brunch, for those of you who believe in it like me.
Thank you. If that's your thing, knock yourself out. We will see you next week. Let's go Yankees. Peace.
Bye, everybody.